Welcome to another episode of Culture8 Podcast, brought to you by Izini, your trusted partner in building thriving workplace cultures. Here we explore the intricate and dynamic world of organizational culture, uncovering insights and strategies to help leaders and teams foster environments where people and businesses can grow together. Today we are talking with Charlie Malouf, CEO of Broad River Retail and Ashley Store licensee. Welcome to the podcast, Charlie. It's an honor to host you today.
Gaurav, thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your podcast with your listeners, the Culture8 Podcast.
Thank you. So before we start, please tell us about what's exciting with Broad River Retail today.
Yeah, well, our word of the year for 2025 is pioneer. And so we're trying to be bolder and more innovative and have that pioneering, exploring spirit. And so we recently just announced that we were moving from the geographical region where our 33 stores are in the Carolinas and Georgia, and we're moving 2,500 miles to the Spokane, Washington market in what's called the Inland Northwest. So that is we're going west. So that is a big pioneering journey for us, and we're working on the first store and then hopefully a second store out there. And so it's a departure from our historic growth strategy. So that'd be one of many things that are kind of exciting going on right now here at the river.
Fantastic. And I wish you many lucks to you and your team. May you guys grow tremendously with 10x, 200x growth and many satisfied customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Gaurav.
Absolutely. So before we take a deep dive into the main topic about organizational culture, I would like to ask you a question to allow our audience to get to know you. What was your very first job like?
Yeah, I saw this question on your document. My first job was when I was probably 9 or 10 years old, was mowing lawns, and before I could drive, and just mowing lawns and making money that way. That wasn't like a W-2 job. My first job working for someone else was working. I remember 12 years old on spring break. I wanted to go play, and my mom and dad said, "No, you're going to go to work." I said, "No." And so I would go into my uncle's deli, and my cousin was the manager there. And my responsibility was to wipe the trays. And I would do that for like 3 hours. And to tell you perspective of what minimum wage was, he would pay me $10.50 in cash. So $3.50 was the hourly rate for minimum wage. And so I would get $10.50 to work for in the small deli in the mall. But really probably my first W-2 job, because that was just cash working for a family member, was working as a busboy in a restaurant, or was a busboy at a restaurant. That was probably my very first job where I got like an official paycheck.
Fantastic. And this is not a question which is there on the list, but any great lesson that you learned around that time that carried and shaped you as a leader that you are today?
Well, when I used to tell my wife I was in the landscaping business. She goes, "You weren't in the landscaping business. You mowed lawns and edged yards. That's not real landscaping." So we had a fun debate on that. But that got me to be entrepreneurial, to think about, I could kind of set my own schedule. I could go obtain my own customers, like where you're doing flyers and things like that to try to get customers and word of mouth. It also helped me learn about the power of like recurring revenues, because you have to go cut the yard every week. So that was the power of that one. Working in like restaurants, that got me used to working with customers and with other people and working with teams, the common job to get the food out on time, or and also kind of gave me the understanding of a little bit of grit, a little bit of elbow grease. I was a bus boy, then I waited tables.
Yeah.
And so, when you're waiting tables, sometimes you're working doubles.
Yeah.
But, mowing lawns, I'll tell you a little funny story here. So I played college football and baseball, and in football, in preseason, you have this thing called two-a-days. And by the way, I did not play for Ole Miss. I'm from Mississippi. I played for a Division III school, but in between two-a-days, I would go mow lawns. So that's like in the hot humid Mississippi summers, I was mowing lawns in between practices. But I just kept myself busy. I was always busy with sports or with activities or trying to come up with ideas to innovate or try to figure out ways to make money, but I did a lot of play. So those would be some of the things that it taught me, I guess.
Wow, that's really powerful. And I'll be honest, it's inspiring. And this is my entrepreneur journey with Izini. And I love the fact that you talked about grit, you talked about customer service. It's all of these that
Mhm.
resonate with me.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
So if we talk about organizational culture, what are the top three elements that define your organizational culture and that influences your company's success?
Yeah, it's a great question. How do you limit it to just three? Um, you know, our purpose is furnishing life's best memories. And from that, when we launched our purpose statement, we really wanted to remind ourselves of the business that we were in, that we were a purpose driven business. And so we called ourselves memory makers. And so maybe one of the things that I would say, the first thing I would say is purpose begins with identity. And so we do things a little bit differently. Like all of our stores, if you go to like a big, I don't know, Walmart or Best Buy or these big retailers, they might say store 2432 or 321, and our stores aren't numbered, they're named, and we let the general manager and the team come up with their own identity, and they change them sometimes. We have a store in Augusta, Georgia. I know you're in Alpharetta, Georgia, and they've gone from 706 Smash to the Augusta Soul to now they just rebranded themselves as the Augusta Annihilators because they want to annihilate their budget this year. And so we'll do a whole kind of campaign and reveal. So kind of purpose begins with identity. We are memory makers. We let our stores have their own identities. That would be one of the things. I think career pathing would be a second thing that defines our culture. And we do it in a non-traditional sense. So we're in a traditional industry. And like when you're in a traditional industry, it's like, it's always done that way. So you just look at your costs. They need to be this percentage and this percentage and this is what you spend and this is what your revenues. And here's what you call people. And one of the things that they call people on the sales floor is a retail sales associate, RSA. And that was a very traditional acronym. And we said, wait a second, just because you have this great profession of sales, you have the same title that you get at day one as day 1000 or at hour 9 versus month 9 or year 9. That doesn't make sense, because people also, not only do they want good perks and benefits and compensation, they want recognition, they want progression, they want to progress, they want advancement. And so we created career pathing at the sales floor. So that'd be 2. And then 3, I would say we do a lot of when we say furnishing life's best memories, it's for others. And so we do it for our own memory makers through programs like our Founder Scholarship Fund or our Crisis Assistance Fund that we're going to launch later this year, or we do it for our community neighbors. And so we might have a private event where if you contribute to a small portion to the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we'll give you a certain discount off. And through these micro donations, we'll collect $200,000 this year for the children at St. Jude. Or a portion of every mattress that we sell goes to support A Hope to Dream. And we'll give away hundreds, if not thousands, of mattresses this year to kids in need in our local communities through the Hope to Dream program. So I think those would be 3 things I would point to in terms of like just what our culture is about. I could go through more, but just keep it to 3.
No, I appreciate it. And this is really great stuff. And to talk about the identity, or rather, first I'll talk about memory makers, right? Their purpose. I love the purpose. I'll be honest with you. I have a couch outside on my porch. That's probably why I pay my mortgage for my screen porch. And my couch is awesome. I love it. This is where I make maximum of my memories, working, thinking, great ideas, spending time with my family. And so it's pretty good. And that's definitely, it resonates with me. You talk about identity. Culture is an identity. That's how people understand that this is the organization's identity. So that's very powerful as well. I love what you mentioned about these initiatives. That's looks like your Broad River is really concerned about giving back to the community, and that's really powerful, because in today's age, you really want to be working on all stakeholders, which includes your people, your investors, your partners, your customers, your leadership. Everybody is a stakeholder in the organization. And I think is a balanced approach that every organization today needs to take care of that. Um, Finally, I love the fact that you are concerned about your people to grow them, inclusive of what their identity is, also inclusive of their career shaping. That's one of the things that I talk to my clients about. One of the most basic interventions in creating a positive organizational culture: grow your people. There's no two ways about it. Just grow your people, because they will grow your business just by pure side effect.
Well, you hit on a lot of great points there. We like to say we will grow as far as our people will take us, ... or not. So we have to not only grow our people, but we have to have higher growth-minded people. And so I have more to say to that, but I'm going to wait till you ask me one of your next questions. And, with regards to the stakeholders, it's the entire ecosystem that is, really what, and I got some of these ideas from like the conscious capitalism movement. And I heard Kip Tindall give a talk at World Business Forum over 10 years ago in 2013, I believe it was, when he talked about the, being mindful of your organizational weight. And so it's a spirit of abundance, not a spirit of scarcity.
Right.
You don't have to lose in order for me to win. And we look at that with our partners, with our people, with our neighbors in our community. There's enough abundance for mutual prosperity. There's a little cartoon that says it's a win-win would be great, but a win-win-win would be much better. And so, that's the way we think about it and look at it. And, the more that, when we were at our worst, Gaurav, we gave our people a raise. And the more we've invested in our people through the human capital mindset and lens and grown our people, the better our company has done and performed. And, I think that what is love? Love is acting in the long-term best interest of another. And so, look at our decisions over a long period of time. Are they consistent? Are they for you? Are they for our people? And so we like to say, look, Rome wasn't built in a day. It can be destroyed in a day. Another way to think about that, I know you like this quote that Gary likes, that I came up with several years ago, which is, you can't microwave culture. It takes a crockpot mentality. So it's that you have to just work it every single day.
Yes, I love it. So many great points you hit upon. Win, win, win. Something similar in the book Fifth Discipline as well, and he talks about win, win, win. Everybody should be able to win. I use that all the time with my clients, with my people that I meet. You win, I win. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I'm all celebrating your wins, because eventually everybody is going to win. So that is great. There were so many others I missed upon it, but I wish I could just capture all of it and talk about it. So, but awesome conversation. Thank you. So let's move on. So can you share a quick example of a recent culture initiative and its impact?
A recent culture initiative. What's going on? Well, we have a podcast. We have a company podcast, Stories from the River. And I wasn't planning to give this one as the answer, but we're into season 4 on Stories from the River. We publish twice a week, I think, like you, every Tuesday and Thursday. And I love podcasts. That's why I'm grateful to be on yours today. And I used to see that someone would be promoting a book, and so they'd like be making the book circuit, and there would be a polished speaker, and they'd be on all the podcasts I'm subscribing to. It's like it's the same speaker. And I said, wait, we're on the front lines of retail. We see great stories every single day. And I said, nobody's telling the stories of the frontline heroes, the everyday heroes. And so that aren't necessarily polished. And so we want to curate those stories that we get to see at retail. There's amazing success stories and growth stories. And so we shine the spotlight on the everyday heroes and our partners at Broad River and the things that are taking place. And so that's had a big culture effect to kind of really shine a spotlight on Broad River. We do different events here. We've done our own Purpose Summit here. We called it Purpose 828. We do learning events. We do summits, sleep connection events, customer service week, customer experience week. So we do different things like that. Right now, we are reviewing internal applications. I mentioned our founder scholarship fund. So we have a fund that gives scholarships to our memory makers and children of our memory makers for continuing education. And so we're in the process of doing that right now. So at any given moment in time, we have Operation Magic School Bus, which gives school supplies back to the children of our memory makers. We have Operation Christmas. I may be having the name exactly not right, but gives in a confidential manner that gives curates gifts from our memory makers to give back to our other memory makers. We have Corporate Chaplains of America. So we have chaplains that visit all of our locations once a week and are available 24/7 in a confidential, voluntary-based mindset to if you need someone to go to. So there's always things like that, that are emanating from our people department now. We rebranded from human resources 10 years ago to human capital, which was a mindset shift to look at people as assets to grow, not liabilities. But we transitioned just to that because the only constant is change at retail. We just transitioned from human capital to people, and their identity is now the people allies. They want to be not like the compliance folks, but the partners, the business partners to each other department within the organization. So those would be some of the things, Gaurav, just to kind of hit on a few broad brushstrokes.
That is fantastic. I think the one topic I would just touch upon, there's so many, again, this great stuff. And every time you talk about it, I keep, from my heart, I'm wishing you guys a lot more luck and a lot more prosperity, lot more resources coming in from economical, the sales and the growth that will allow you to do a lot more for the society. It's just, you guys are doing great. So one thing I was talk about is the stories. Stories are a great way to embed and propagate your culture. It shows a way for others who are in your organization to understand this is a desirable behavior, and culture is all about behavioral norms, right? So that's a great way to propagate the great culture that you have.
And it's not easy to do. I thought it was something I was a little bit concerned, like, how do I do this? And I thought it would just be on audio. And the agency that we worked with said, no, you got to do it on video to take advantage of the YouTube audience. And so we actually go in studio a lot of times. We use Riverside, like the platform you have, but a lot of times, and the video component of it adds like 90% of the complexity. But you have to have the right microphone, the right type of camera in studio or not. You have to do the right copywriting, the right thumbnail text and titles and descriptions and transcripts and all that in preparation, and not to wear certain patterns that don't show up on the cameras and all this sort of thing. But when people get that episode, they are like walking on clouds for like several days, and they share it with their family and their stories told, and then we share that out socially. So it's just a great uplifting. And then honestly, one of the byproducts of that is anyone who's considering joining our company, they're like, yeah, I saw your podcast, or they watch several episodes of who am I going to work with, or what's this company about. So it also helps, with the applicant flow. So, I mean, we're now at episode 263, in the last, we're in season 4. So it's been going well.
The last point hit the nail on the head. That is a great way to attract talent coming into your organization. That's a big challenge for a lot of organizations. How do we attract talent? Well, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but fix your internal house, create a great place for people to make it more welcoming, make it great, and people will come. But you have to share that with the world that this is, and the podcast is a great way. I love the fact that you talked about patterns to wear. It made sense. I wore a shirt with checks, and no, that did not look good on your side.
You got to avoid the Moire effect, something like that. So I don't know. I didn't know all these things, but you learn them as you go.
Yeah, you do. I'm learning. So I do more with less. I have limited resources, so I do whatever I can. But one of those things was pattern that you wear. I stopped wearing my check shirts because they were weird when
you're doing a great job.
Thank you. And you know what, the podcast is the video of it is so great because what are we? We are human, and there's a whole lot of things about us. It's not just our voice. There is tone of our voice, but there is body
Yeah.
expressions, the facial expressions. So it is all great to capture that. So
Yeah.
thank you.
No doubt
That's
about it.
great. So can you share a time when there was culture misalignment and which impacted your company, and how did you address it?
Yeah, I'd probably go back to the 2015 moment when we kind of broke all of our bones and had to rebuild them all back together during our bold reset. And that's when we switched from HR to HC, human capital. And the thing about that is, Gaurav, is that we were at our worst and we were like losing a lot of money, struggling. We had a failed ERP conversion, but we looked at people, we tried to minimize everything, and we just changed our outlook from scarcity to abundance, and looked at people like, no, we're going to call it human capital because we want to hold ourselves accountable we have to grow our people.
Yes.
We're going to pay our people more. We're going to give them career paths. We're going to put teeth behind that. And I think that just got us like aligned on where we were going to take this from a new culture perspective. So I think I'd probably go back to that 2015 moment when we kind of broke all of our bones and then reset all of our bones and said, hey, if we're going down, let's go down the way we'd want to go down. And so it was, I often say that breaking all of our bones was like the best thing to ever happen to us.
I love it. And organizations are complex organisms. They're not cogs in machines.
Yeah.
And I'm a student of complexity. It's the science at the edge of order and chaos. And it talks about how complex adaptive systems and complex systems actually self-organize and reorganize themselves for optimal. And this happens almost automatically. And you guys seem to prove that. There's this book I've just started reading, like just 1 or 2 chapters, and it's called Good to Great. I'm sure you probably have heard of it. I think Jim Collins.
Yeah.
And he said something which was, he was talking about the level 5 leadership in the first chapter. And he mentioned something which kind of shook me, which again, I don't necessarily always believe everything I read. I'm always questioning and I'm always taking it in as an input. And he said something that people are not your true source of value. They are, but you have to have the right people. So it made sense. So it's kind of conflicting for me. But at the same time, I love the fact that I think he may not necessarily be completely right. He may be right at certain places. But yes, you hire the right people. You cut off situations which are not going to be beneficial for your purpose and an organization as a whole. But you also grow your people.
Yeah.
Growing people not only is through education of how to do a job or education about the business, but it's also about people, the spiritual level of our people.
Yeah.
We have to create conditions that will be more for like their overall growth, not just professional.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Good to Great's a great book. The one great thing, I love Jim Collins, and go to his website. He's got all of like the maps and all his points. I've consumed hours and hours of Jim Collins's content. He's a great management theorist and thinker. One of the great things about his approach is it's very research driven. So he tries to answer a specific question. Now, you'll learn about the concept of the hedgehog and fire bullets, then cannonballs and 20-mile marches. But a book that I like better than Good to Great is a book called BE 2.0, which is, he took his book that he wrote with his mentor, Beyond Entrepreneurship, and he reissued it, but he put new chapters and content. So it's the original manuscript, but it's interspersed and wrapped around new content and new thoughts about it. And it's called BE 2.0. And in one of those, you're talking about people, he says one of the things that he thinks he got wrong was the who luck and the people that you surround yourself with and how important people are. And so, even if you're doing research space, you constantly have to kind of revisit your data and your assumptions. And even Malcolm Gladwell just issued a new book where he rethought some of his previous assumptions. And so it's okay to kind of look at the data that you had and that you made that decision. But yeah, people are complex and there could be a different approach or a more relevant approach. So you take new inputs and kind of remix it and see what comes out. But I think he's reframed his thoughts a little bit on people as well. And, one of the things, you've heard, get the right people on the bus, but I've heard someone take that and add a twist to it and said, yeah, but make sure the bus is a safe bus first, and because people want to feel secure and safe, and then you can put them on the right seat of the bus. So I don't know if it was Bob Chapman or Simon Sinek or Adam Grant who talked about that. I forget, but yeah, get the right people on the bus. But someone said, but make sure it's a safe bus and a secure bus. And so, what do people value? And you can learn what people value through your engagement surveys and pulse surveys and things of that nature, and whatnot.
Or just talking to them. I'm a big believer of dialogue. I wrote an article about it that, assessments, surveys are not the best way to understand our organization culture. You can think about, you can understand the typology on broad level, but organization culture is more understood as an anthropology. You go and talk to people, ask them, why do you do certain things the way you do? Why do you have pictures on the wall in your organization or in your office?
Listen, you're 100% right. And one of the first things we did in that mid 2015 during that season was we went on a listening tour. And we went to every location and we heard the pain first person. Hey, you cost me my child's college tuition this year. That's real pain. What are we going to do to make? And if we had not heard that pain and that real first person perspective, would not have made the decision to give them all a raise and how we went about that and change some of the things we did in their favor. So, the first thing you can do on any kind of culture initiative is go on a listening tour. Go to the front lines. And that comes from like lean manufacturing, right? Six Sigma, like go and see, go to the source and get that input yourself.
Yeah, that is true. It's another dimension to people are a true source of value. People are the true source of information as well. Yeah. They're right there making those deals. And so it's fantastic. How do you measure the success of your organizational culture? It's a tough question.
How do we, of our organizational culture? Well, you want measurable data. So one way that you can measure the success of your culture is, and you want to have the same measurement year over year. So I would say an engagement survey can do that for you. And one of the things you'll look for in an engagement survey is participation rate. Because if people aren't participating, they don't feel like there's any value to give their voice. Because, I gave it last time, or I gave it 2 years ago, and they didn't do anything with it. So participation rate. And then the things that you're asking and measuring, are they the same? Are they happy with their job? Would they refer this company to a friend or a family member? And you want promoters, not detractors. So, net promoter score is a metric to look at as well. So I think surveys, net promoter score, that gives you the objective data. I think you can get the anecdotal data, like just by listening and hearing and seeing. And then I think also, I've got 33 different store locations. We've got 33 different stores and 3 distribution centers. The culture is not the same at any given point in each store. But you know what? The stores who have the really great culture, they're actually performing better. And so performance does matter. And where they're performing worse, it's usually the culture in that location. And so we get it at a macroeconomic or a microcosm kind of view. And so you can go down to the brass tacks on a per store basis and see what that store. So I think performance metrics also make a difference, and so there's anecdotal ways that we look at it. You can look at your Glassdoor reviews. I mean, you could look at your internal surveys, engagement surveys, and pulse surveys, and measure yourself against yourself year over year. And then you can get third parties to come in and give you data on it. So I think whether you're getting it anecdotally or objectively from your own surveys or through third-person surveys, those would be some of the tools that we've deployed over the years.
Absolutely spot on. I want to talk about the participation rate, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we at Izini want to solve for our customers, is because most organizations have engagement issues and they have untapped potential. There's a Gallup report for 2024 which talked about 69% of the U.S. workforce is disengaged at work, which means that they are not aligned with the purpose. They're not thinking out of the box. They're not doing the extra. And even when I say extra, it's not going beyond 9 to 5. Even within 9 to 5, they can go beyond an extra, right? And that's happening. And that's a $2 trillion impact to our U.S. economy, which is tremendous. And that's where we come in. Our focus is about creating the people-centric culture, the culture of innovation, collaboration, and really accountability to keep holding each other accountable of what's needed for the best of the entire organization, the stakeholders, everyone, the customers, the leadership, and etc. So I really love the fact about participation rate. And I think we maybe started about the conversation. I mentioned how I was curious to know how you got to know with Gary Ridge, because I use Gary Ridge's example of WD-40 in terms of how the organizational culture that he created impacted the entire organization, from a $300 million company, one product company, to multiple products, several countries in the world, and a $3.3 billion company. So culture definitely has a huge impact. There's a huge correlation. And there was one question. I'm part of the Technology Association of Georgia CX board. And the chair of the board asked me, because he got to know about my organization, and he asked me, like, so how do you convince leaders? I was like, I really am flabbergasted. I can't convince leaders enough about how much impact the organization culture has towards their performance. And he was like, oh, so you are not able to solve the universe problems? I was like, yeah, I am not. So, okay, fantastic. What is one piece of advice you would give leaders about fostering a positive organizational culture?
One piece of advice: trust your instincts. This isn't rocket science. By the way, you mentioned Gary. I've got Gary Ridge. I've got his new book. He'll appreciate the plug. I helped him with some pre-orders and ordered several dozen of these, and gave them to our leadership team and a lot of friends throughout the country. That's his third book. His interesting title, Any Dumbass Can Do It.
Yeah.
He's a big thinker on culture and on leadership. And you've got to kind of just, I would say to try to start doing something. A piece of advice, the hardest part is getting started. And sometimes you feel like, well, I don't know, I can't do it all at once, or where do I even begin? Just you can bend, like, hey, you don't have to wake up tomorrow and run a marathon, and you don't have to wake up and compare yourself to the greatest cultures out there in the world, but you can do the next positive thing tomorrow. You can do one thing, or you can talk to others, within your network, or on your senior team, your executive team. And you don't have to have all the ideas either, and they might appreciate that he's listening, or she's listening, or she wants ideas, and be willing to source other ideas and put those out there. So just start. Probably the first thing I would say is go on a listening tour. Go listen to your people, talk to your people, and they'll give you all the ideas of where you should
Love
start.
it.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100% agree. And I'll share my organization's principles. My company's principles are people-centric cultures, embrace complexity, and use agile mindset to manage and wade through the complexity that surrounds you. So, which means take small steps. You can't eat the elephant in one bite. You have to take small steps. You got to take small steps, learn, execute, adapt, and then execute again. So.
Yeah, I know a company that I'm involved with. I'm on their board that's going through a whole agile transformation right now. So there's a lot to that. First of all, if I was honestly to give advice, I would do a little bit more discovery, and I'd want to understand where they were in their journey. Because there's a quote that Jason Jennings used to say that I really like: prescription without proper diagnosis is malpractice. And so I want to, I wouldn't just give flippant advice, because I do think you have to personalize the advice. To your point, every situation is complex, or at least unique. And I would want to understand it. And once I ask enough discovery questions, I could probably feel more empowered to give better advice or prescription.
Indeed, sir. Absolutely. And I have to share this. One of my favorite books, and it's almost like my Bible of my organization. It's called The Organizational Cultures and Leadership by a notable authority on the topic, Edgar H. Sheehan. I'm sure you might have heard of his name. His first step, and this is what we do as well, if we have to go and talk to an organization to implement change in organization, first, of course, we understand what is their challenge. The next step is to go through and understand what their basic assumptions are. So there's a whole, like a half a day or 1 day practice or workshop where we try to understand what really are your basic assumptions. Why do you do the things that you do? It's one of the toughest things to figure out, because these are ingrained inside of us. They are subconscious in our way of doing things. We just do them because it's already like part of our mental models. So coming out of it, an understanding of what those basic assumptions are, and then using the strengths, because you can't change the entire culture. It's very hard to do that. It's like questioning someone's core beliefs and values.
Yeah,
so
no doubt about it.
Yeah, and so we use the positives, the strengths of the organization to bring about transformation. And yes, we do also agile transformation. That's one of my core skill sets.
That's awesome. You are well-rounded and well-read.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm trying. I cannot. I have so many books that I have to still read and finish and gain the knowledge from it, and then apply the insights from different, because I keep jumping to different books. Oh, I read this over here. I read that. There's a lot of correlation. So thank you. You've been very kind. Let's jump to our rapid fire questions. What book do you recommend the most?
Yeah, the book that I've given out the most to our new hires is called Win the Day by Mark Batterson. He is a pastor at National Community Church in Washington, D.C. I think he's written like over 20 bestsellers. I just love the way he communicates. My warning to that book is be careful, because it will positively infect your soul. And so it gets you down at the soul level. But Win the Day, in the way he approaches it, and the wisdoms, the different religious, cultural, spiritual wisdoms that he applies to it, and it's like, there's a lot of books on habit, Atomic Habits, The Power of Habit, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a great one on habits. And Win the Day. If you want to make each day count the days, and make each day its own masterpiece. And so there's a lot of great quotable one-liners that he's got that really resonate with me. So that would be one. If it's organizational culture, Everybody Matters by Bob Chapman is a great one. The Invisible Leader by Zach Mercurio is a great one. The Power of Moments by the Heath brothers is a great one. Those would be, The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni for organizational health and team chemistry is a great one. So those would be some of the guys who I like. Personal growth and development, Ed Milet, The Power of One More. And see what other books. Those would be some of the ones that really resonate with me.
I like that as well. Like, what are my books? Fantastic. I really like what you said, Win the Day, because I think it goes back to when we asked the last question about the what is one advice that you would give, step by step, win the day, step by step.
That's right.
And then you'll get through.
Well, yeah. And the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. And so if you apply the power of compounding and Albert Einstein said, he who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it. And so just apply the power of compounding to everything. Apply it to culture. That's why I say it takes a crockpot mentality, because it's drip by drip, day by day, one step at a time. But over a long period of time, and love acting in the long-term best interest, it tends to compound and have exponential results and returns.
Yeah. Absolutely. What is the one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
That's a great question. Maybe a couple things. They might be surprised. Sometimes people are surprised that I'm from Mississippi. I was born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi. And maybe they'd be surprised. I've become a big wellness guy, like endurance sports. Like I work out every day. And so I got to a streak of 1,082 days in a row before I had to have a procedure done. So I had to take a few days off for that. But I do 100 miles a week, every week, through a combination of like Peloton bike, outdoor biking, outdoor running. or walking with some strength training and whatnot. So they might be surprised to know about the seriousness that I've taken on my wellness journey. Gaurav, I would hope that maybe they would say they'd be surprised by my age because I look so much younger. That's
Well,
probably not true.
if I may ask, I mean, you're not a woman. I can ask hope safely. Like, how old are you?
I just turned 50. I'm halfway home. I'm halfway there, whatever there is.
No, I hear you. I hear what you said. Yeah, it's hard to know, to understand. Maybe something similar question. What do you think how old do you think I am?
Oh, you're gonna make me guess. I would. So if I was going to guess, didn't you say you were married? Did you say you're married?
I'm divorced, but yeah.
Okay. I was going to say maybe late 30s, early 40s.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm actually 47, very close to you.
Okay, very good. So you look younger. So that's great.
Good genes from the parents. So
there you go. Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, so how can our listeners connect with you?
They can go to LinkedIn. That's how you connected with me. And so I stay active. I manage my own LinkedIn.
Awesome.
And sometimes the connection requests are out there, but Charlie Malouf on LinkedIn, and it's LinkedIn/n/iPosit. I think I have a custom URL. So I'm on LinkedIn. That'd be the best way, I'd say.
Fantastic. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to end this. And I'm going to cut this part of it, obviously. But last time what happened was I said what I said, like, oh, thank you, and the guest left. And I was like, oh, no, I wanted to speak to you first.
And you need it to finish uploading too, don't you?
Yeah. So, all right. So there you have it, folks. Another great episode at Culture8, where we bring you the greatest of and most insightful conversations with some of the best leaders and how they manage their organizational culture. So thank you, Charlie, to be our guest. It was a great honor, and I loved the conversation. It just made me smile all throughout. And I wish you and your team absolutely tremendous success and prosperity.
Thank you, Gaurav. It was a pleasure to speak with you and to get to know you. And I wish Culture8 Podcast and Easiny continued success and prosperity in all that you do. Many blessings.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome.